Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna go ahead and be making pumpkin swirl cheesecake, which I am super hype about because I haven't done it in a really long time. I could not find everything I would normally use, but that's okay. So today I'm just gonna talk you through it. My camera angle's not great. It's fine. Okay, let's get into this. So, I have the ingredients over here right behind me. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Oh yeah, so this is everything you're gonna freaking need. Alright, we got the pumpkin pie, we got eggs, 4 of them. I am being lazy, so I went ahead, I was afraid I cracked an egg. I went ahead and I got the graham cracker crumbs instead of having to crack graham crackers myself because laziness. And then I went and got some pecans. So, we got ground nutmeg, ground clover, pumpkin pie spice, ground cinnamon. You don't actually need the pumpkin pie spice, but it sounded like a good idea. Vanilla, the most expensive thing you'll buy, and I have a ton of it. I got Philadelphia cream cheese for 2 of these because that's the good kind, and then I got the Harris Teeter brand of more of it because I'm cheap. Alright, and then I got some butter, and that is actually all you will need, other than, actually, I'm sorry. This is sugar. My roommate has a tub of sugar, so that's cool. And then I got myself this little pan for making a cheesecake. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this thing. It's gonna be great. Let's go. Alright, so to start, here's just a shot of all of the ingredients you will need. I'm gonna link the recipe down below, so don't worry. Now to get started, I'm starting with a graham cracker crust, which I kind of cheated the recipe just a little bit because I was supposed to use ginger snaps, but the store didn't have any. So I actually used the instructions on the side of the box to make a graham cracker crust. So I got a 1.5 cups of the mix itself, and then a 1/2 cup of pecans, which is the exact amount of the contents of this bag, and then you mix it together. You could obviously do this without the pecans. You could just have a graham cracker crust or a ginger snap crust. The recipe linked below is going to tell you to use 1/4 cup of butter, but I went with the instructions on the crust of the actual box I bought. So I put 1/3 cup, and then I put a little less than a 1/4 cup of sugar into this, and I mixed it all together. Now I got my cheesecake pan, and I just went ahead and I put it together. Once I was done with that, I went ahead and I greased the pan, even though it didn't call for it. I just am paranoid about things like that. I poured the entire mixture in, and then I'm just going to press and flatten it. At first it's going to be really loose in there, and you're just going to press it down until it barely moves, and you can even shake it to the side to try and see what falls out, and then just squish that back in as well. I got pretty obsessive over a couple pieces of pecan, but it's okay. You're going to want 4 8-ounce Philadelphia cheese creams, cream cheese, words, cream cheese, yes. This is a big mistake I made. I didn't really soften them appropriately, which mine ended up with some lumps in it, and that's all my fault. You're going to take 3/4 cup of sugar and put that in. The entire recipe really calls for a cup of sugar plus what I used for the crust. And then I added a generous teaspoon of vanilla because I love vanilla. You don't need a stand mixer for this, but my roommate has a stand mixer and that shit is amazing, so I am so happy. You're gonna need 4 eggs for this, and super important, in between beating it, you wanna put 1 egg in at a time, mix it just enough so that all the yellow is in, and then do another one, and so forth for all 4 of them. Okay, another situation where you can learn from my mistake here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to scoop a whole bunch of this out. It calls for a 1.5 cups of the just plain cheesecake batter, but I would honestly do more, like maybe 2 cups to 2.5 cups, because I felt my swirl wasn't as deep as the picture. which you'll understand more of once you see how we do this at the end. But just go ahead and separate off 2 cups of the white mix. Now that we're getting into the pumpkin side of the cheesecake, I went ahead and I added the remainder of the sugar, which was 1/4 cup, and then we're gonna go ahead and put a cup of pumpkin. This is also the point where you add all of your spices and seasonings. So we're gonna go ahead and you're gonna take your cinnamon, you're gonna take a teaspoon of that, you're gonna take your nutmeg, and you're going to take a 1/4 teaspoon of that. I also took a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice seasoning, which it doesn't call for it in the recipe. Some people completely nix all of the other seasonings and just put the pumpkin pie spice seasoning is what I found. And then I was like, let's be extra, let's do both. I literally had to buy a dash of ground cloves, and then it literally just says to put a dash. And I assumed that a pinch and a dash are the same concept. So that's what they got. From here, you're just going to go ahead and you're going to mix everything together, make it all pretty. Okay, now we're just going to assemble it. So we're going to go ahead and layer this. You're going to put the pumpkin, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to put your regular, which is just the one that you saved out before. You're going to layer it, and you're going to alternate back and forth between the white and the orange until you don't have anything left, which I think it would have come with a better swirl if I had done a little bit more white. Try not to smear the stuff. You don't want to mix it. You want to make sure you're putting it just directly on top. So honestly, don't use a spatula. I grabbed the spatula for a second and I was like, oh, nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Now your next step is literally just going to be you're going to take a knife or a knife, honestly, a butter knife, and you're just gonna go ahead and you're gonna wisp it through. Don't use a spatula. Wisp it through, and you're just gonna end up getting this kind of marble effect. Now, mine, it doesn't look that great, but it still looked nice at the end, and yeah. I think I would have benefited a little bit from a little bit more white batter, or potentially if I had spread the white batter a little bit better. But I still did manage to get a little bit of that swirling effect. Now you're going to go ahead and you're just going to take your oven, which you should have preheated to 325, and you are going to go ahead and put it in there. Now you don't have to do a water bath, but I put a water bath under it. It's supposed to make it so it doesn't crack. This is the finished product here. Did get a little swirl. Okay, so a couple important things. I didn't take more video once it was chilled and cooled, and it did set in a little better with a little more swirl, but I still recommend using more white batter. Also, actually allowing your cream cheese to sit and become room temperature. Those are my big hacks for this. But also, just so you know, you have to let it sit in the fridge for 4 hours, okay? 4 hours or overnight before you serve it, ideally. Now, I mean, you could probably still get away with it, but it's not gonna be fully set. So let it sit for at least 4 hours, ideally, okay? In the refrigerator. I took it out, I let it cool on the oven for about like 30 minutes to an hour, and then I popped it in the fridge and I served it the next day. So like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more content like this. You've been amazing. I will see you next week with another video. Bye.